So around about 200 megs of leakage at this point in time. I expect that we will get a lot more than that. But at the moment, that's the sort of leakage that we're addressing currently. And one town in particular has been identified as having more than 10% of customers with leaks, which is pretty significant. We charge at a discounted rate. In Goldenfields, we charge at about 70%. So, but that's $14 million I can recoup now in connection charges, the headworks, the capacity charges when people connect up. And as the leaks are fixed in the brackets there, I put the 270k a year in costing. I've just factored in the cost of producing the water there. So, I mean, sales is way more than that, but I'm trying to keep it fairly simple so we can get some questions going on that.
What is the main barrier to your digital metering or intelligent water network business case? So there we are, interesting. It's the inability to value benefits followed by technology choices seem to be the two top of mind barriers to your business case.
First one we've got is from Virginia Collins about how do you propose to reduce the customer demand by 300 megs. So our next question is from Nathan Harper. Now he's asking, 10% of customer side leakage is low relative to other experiences. Watercorp, for example, has 20%. Do you want to give a bit more information about that?
We've got at least 200,000 spare slots on the receivers. Remember that each of them can bring back about 10,000 transmitters. So that gives us 200,000 to 300,000 spare slots in the system to bring back other data. So we've got a value proposition for providing service that no one else can do in the region because we're already covering it. So it means we can provide additional services at a price point that is worthwhile to the community. But the smarts in this is analysis of the information, and that's where it's going to take a fair bit of work and discussion for all the people in our industry and others to derive the value from the data. The real power of intelligent networks, and as the one we put in, is because they're so rapid to deploy that you could do the entire Murray-Darling Basin in a fairly short period of time. Now, why are we looking at this? I suppose because it's there. But the soil moisture probes that you can connect up to intelligent networks and all those different devices that will be developed over the next decade that I can't even imagine yet. We've got a trial going, we're developing at the moment for a catchment management study. So the point we're trying to make with this and expand, apart from providing services on farm with soil moisture, is that as far as catchment management goes, using an intelligent network to bring data back to help you use your model to do releases is phenomenally meaningful. Now this is probably the interesting part for a lot of the listeners, and especially those who have to go back and try and justify things with their finance department or their overbearing general manager. You have to really decide what system you need, not what you want. I've had discussions with a number of managers and technical people from different organisations who are looking at intelligent networks and have got the idea that you need a perfect system that provides exactly the same amount of data integrity for every single customer you have. Well, if you do that, it will cost you a lot more, and Goldenfields did contemplate that, but it would have probably cost us $4 or $5 million to have a bulletproof system rather than get one in for $1 million. And the outcomes we're getting from getting something in quickly with a very good reliability is far superior than trying to overdo the system, overcook it in the first place and take years to put it in and be struggling to try and meet a service standard for data which wasn't important. Auditing was a very important concept, and I want everyone to understand when you do one of these systems, audit it all the way through for the installation and the data, make sure you get a quality outcome for both the data that goes in the system for the backroom people so they're not struggling with poor quality records for the next 10 years, and the asset goes in properly.
Part of what Andrew is describing is offering different services to different customers, perhaps at different prices, not just in his water business but in the other services, and it's a real move away from sort of postage stamp pricing and everyone gets the same level of service. So my question to you is, would you use digital metering or an intelligent water network to offer various service levels and various prices? Yes or no?
A question now from Evelyn Horner about how much percentage of the system is online at any given time, how much maintenance is needed, and who performs it, and roughly what's the cost. So question from Nathan Harper about, are there plans to integrate other network sensors, so water quality sensors or the like? Yeah, we have another question here from Reza Basal, I think, and it's about how do you make sure that you're making best use of the masses of data that are received?
Customer risk And this is the way that I sell it, and I would advise anyone else to sell it when you're going to have those discussions with those customers that have been over-serviced and you now want to reduce their peak or instantaneous or hourly flow. Really, on a pipeline, with the pipeline customer, if they are set up that way and have this overwhelming need for instant supply, if you then any accident or downtime on your pipeline, or indeed maintenance, all pipelines have to be maintained, will leave them with a fairly nasty taste in their mouth and the customers that they supply. So use of this data can be used, and I advise everyone to use it, to have those conversations with the customers, but explain to them that it's not just a matter of trying to limit their flow in any particular hour, but it's addressing a risk they have in their system that they don't understand. And in fact, that conversation I had with that large customer went quite well, and they, well, they might not have been glowingly happy. They understood it and appreciated the fact that they then had a risk that they could assess and address. So that's pretty important. This is the bit in the discussion which I think needs to be had about pricing and service standards. So that one particular customer that I mentioned had 20% of entire pipeline peak flow. So they were basically turning the taps on twice a day and dragging the pressure down on that pipeline to service their internal needs. So those efficiency gains are feeding back in the system, and on top of those, providing the additional services for the rural customers. I think it's a really good outcome.
If you were rolling out an intelligent water network, digital metering and services that can go with it, what coverage of your customer base would you aim for? Would you be aiming for 100%, 90%, 80%, less than 80%? So if I can ask you to respond to that very promptly, just give you a few more seconds. What percentage of your customer base would you aim to cover?
At this stage, I'll just ask one last question, which is about, Andrew, have you found that smart meters have changed the relationship or the type of discussion that you're having with your customers and the community? I think that draws to a close today's webinar. Hopefully you've all enjoyed that. I'd like to thank Andrew Grant for a great presentation today. It's been very engaging. I think he's really highlighted some of the importance around understanding the business drivers, not only internally but also for the customers. The power in what you can do with a fast deployment of smart meters and the ability to hook in new devices. And just bear in mind that I think the benefits are larger than you thought and accept a reasonable level of inaccuracy. So some great insights there, Andrew, and thank you very much.